BBC Archive Voices. Glenda Jackson. Radio Archive interview. Dated 5th of August 1970.
I first saw you in the theatre. It must have been 1964 in Theatre of Cruelty under Peter Brook.
Oh, yes.
That was a very breathtaking encounter, because it had what now, in the light of subsequent events, seems to me to have been one of the most marvellous nude sketches or scenes that I've ever seen. The one in which the nudity was used as a kind of genuine ritual of purification.
That's right, it was, yes.
Was it very challenging to appear in this very, very stark nude scene?
Well, I think once you've actually got your clothes off, the problems disappear, really. I mean, it's other people's embarrassment, which is embarrassing, and there was very little of that around. And as I say, if you've done it once, you do it again.
Yes.
And it was also absolutely right for that sketch. I mean, you couldn't have done it in any other way. It was a ritual, as you say, cleansing, and you couldn't have done it with sort of half-dressed or, some sort of...
Yes, it had the sort of total integrity of a religious act, and this, I think, is something which indeed is something which, in discussing nudity on the stage, which has now become so much of a topical subject, is one aspect which is sometimes left out, that nudity is a form of honesty, or can be.
Indeed, but I think it's falling into a little disrepute at the moment, because in the main on stage it's used always in association with sort of making love or the act of sex, and I think that this has limited its use now in other areas in a way, which is a pity, because I do think, as you say, it is basically a very honest thing to do.
I saw you in the Marasade.
Oh.
Now, why did you hate that so much?
Well,
you are on the record of saying it's the most loathsome thing you've ever done.
It was. I mean, it was loathsome because it was so hard. I mean, every single night it was as though one had never played that play before. There was absolutely nothing that one got as an actor from it. It was intensely cold. You had no communication with your fellow actors at all.
Was that because you were doing a sort of clinical study of insanity?
Well, my particular part was a girl suffering from a mental disorder, playing a part, and then myself sort of acting the two on top. So there were sort of three layers for me, and the insanity precludes any association with other people. There's no form of attachment in any way, and I think this is why it was so cold. It was a very barren play to be in, but a very extraordinary play to rehearse, oddly enough.
Yes.
I think it was more valuable from the rehearsal's point of view.
But the Marasade got you onto Broadway. What was that like as an experience?
Well,
you being lionized as a star on Broadway.
That was very funny, really. I quite enjoyed all that. But it was we played a week of previews before we actually opened, and we were there in the winter, and the central heating was dreadful. I mean, I've never known central heating like it, and our throats started to dry up and we were losing our voices, and there were all sorts of terrible things happening. We played our first preview audience, and they applauded the songs, and they virtually shouted encore, and they laughed in places where there'd always been total silence in England. And we sort of came off the stage shaking, saying, this Americans are an uncontrollable audience. And eventually we got used to that, and then, of course, after the first night, when the notices came out and said this is stark, gripping, realistic horror and all that sort of guff, they were a much more controllable audience. But they were fascinating to play to. They're much quicker-witted than a London audience. Of course, we were there when Vietnam was really reaching its peak in America, in a way. So all the political attitudes and ideas in the play were seized upon enormously, and they're musically very acute. The musical jokes which were inherent in the score never were noticed in London. They got a laugh every performance in New York. So they were a very stimulating audience to play to. New York I found quite terrifying, of course.
In Women in Love, you appear not only in the nude, but actually in a very physical love scene in the nude. What is one's reaction doing this? Do you have a sort of clinical attitude to it, or?
Well, I...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?